Everybody, today is the 24th of March and I'm getting close to flowering a couple plants that I have been growing in their separate single bucket systems, and I have other RDWC systems built for kind of long-term things I want to use over and over, but I decided I'll just go ahead and build a 2-bucket RDWC system for these two plants so that they get kind of all the benefits of the best environment I can give them. So I decided to throw this together today, and I'm about halfway through, and I'm now have to basically wait on parts. But the whole point of this video is to show you how I'm going to build this 2-bucket RDWC system. I'm going to tie it into a chiller, and how I'm going to use how I'm going to do water changes and drainage pipes, manifolds. But the main point of this video is to show little considerations that if you aren't cognizant of them, if you're not paying attention to them, they're going to cause you problems, leaks, and just things not matching up. So just the little considerations I've learned to this point in building these systems, I'll kind of touch on as I go through building this. Once they come up, I kind of touch on each little thing you need to pay attention to, or little gotchas. But let me go ahead and start the videos I've already taken of starting this build, and hopefully you'll like this one. Two-tote RDWC system, so I can put both those plants in there. After reconsidering, since I didn't really know what I was going to do with the silver skunk, and it's kind of recovered, and the train wreck's fine, so I'll just try and flower them both actually together instead of flowering just the train wreck and then trying to figure out what to do with the super skunk. So I will flower them together, and I'll try and just spread both of them across this 5x5 canopy. Actually, it's gonna be more like 4x4, but so I'm planning on using these two totes, putting a bulkhead in the side here. It's coming out the end of each, and linking them up together, and then going out the tent. There's a hole over here on the side of the tent, so there'll be 2 bulkheads coming out of the end of each. They'll be linking up with a pipe across here, and then going out the side of the tent right there. And that's how this is going to work. I'll put the net pots to be somewhere over on that end of the bucket. So let me do that. Okay, so now these things have holes in the tops for their net pots, and I put in the bulkheads. I use Dynaflex to make sure it seals good. Hopefully that'll work well. The bulk place, this is the most likely place anything's going to drip, so like I said, I use Dynaflex around the gaskets in this. So those are done. Now I have to put the PVC pipe out here, out there, and then, so basically a manifold that comes out of each, and then out the door for the to the reservoir over there. So yeah, just got the PVC left, and I got to paint the tops. Obviously, I'm going to paint them black and then paint them white, and then that'll be it for the buckets. And like I said, the PVC, and then I need to figure out what I'm going to use for a reservoir. It's going to be like a trash can or something, and that'll be it. I'm cannibalizing some of an old PVC janky thing I built back in a while back. I'm actually probably not going to use. I'm going to cannibalize this to just use pieces off of it for this. But what I thought I'd show is these 2-inch PVC is about the biggest you can go for these. This is about the biggest cutter like this that you could do at Home Depot at least. This is the biggest one you can get at Home Depot. And 2 inches is about as big as you want to go with this thing, or as big as it'll fit in there. But I finally got my technique down where it's, pretty decent. But when I do it with this, I kind of have to cut a groove in here. What I do is I put the blade down, and I cut a groove around, almost all the way around in a circle, or sorry, almost all the way around the pipe, that is, and get that groove established first before I start cutting. And I found that if I do this, that I have a lot better chance of making the cut straight. And even if it's off a little bit when I come around the circle here, it's going to be off just a little smidge to the right, it looks like. But even if it's off a little bit, it makes, it's off a decent amount. It's off almost 1/8 of an inch. So even if it's off a little bit, it makes the cut happen better. Instead of, these pipes are big and thick, so if you don't have something there to kind of help pull the pipe apart at a certain place, then it'll crack off and split in weird ways you don't want it to. So, but yeah, like I said, this is the way I found to do it, which comes out pretty reliable and straight cuts. You know, if I didn't do that, it would have been a lot harder to get this, you know, straight cut on both sides. But there you go. So, like I said, that's something I throw in there while I'm doing this, just to show you guys a little trick on how to cut this big PVC with a PVC cutter easier. Okay, here's what I have so far. Bulkheads were in, I already showed you. Now I hooked up the drainage manifold and a union, an elbow out to the reservoir. Considerations on what I've done so far is I like doing the drainage manifold rather than running one pipe from one bin to the next bin to the next. With a drainage manifold, that means that you're not having all the flow. Well, it's going to be a RDWC, a waterfall system. So with a waterfall system, this way you're not having all the flow going through the same pipe, you know, boom, 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 boom. It's going through this pipe, but it's not going from somewhere where it might get clogged with roots and crap. So there's only singular flows coming out each, you know, the minimal flow coming out each pipe, and then they combine here in the bigger pipe where it's not an issue. But I don't like the idea of pipe to bucket to bucket to bucket in series. So I like it like this, outside in a external kind of link between them. But either way, so 90 T, put everything in the bulkheads. This is no coming back from this. There's no room for error on these. Just smashed them in. This is a little bit tricky to push them both in at the same time, make sure they're the same level. I basically just did it like this on the ground and kind of twisted around, make sure the PVC cement was good and everything was level. And then I put my union on here so I can take this off for whatever reservoir maintenance, whatever, disassembling the system. But the thing about this union is damn 15 bucks, 14 bucks. So I put a little space here. So even if I junk this system, then I can use this union again, even though I'll be using it with an elbow attached. I'll be using it with a 90-degree elbow. It isn't just, you know, straight to straight, but point is, this thing 15 bucks, so I put in a little space here, so even if this system is used once and then trashed, I can just chop that, keep the union, and use it for something else, like I use these other pieces of random other crap. But so now I got this thing is all plumbed up here. I need to go and probably go to Home Depot or Lowe's, and I need to find what reservoir I'm going to use outside here. It's just going to be some kind of trash can. And the good news about this is the angles of the angles of the bulkheads weren't an issue. So these two buckets are the same. The bulkhead actually isn't coming out at a 90-degree angle. It's coming out slightly downhill, which might be an issue if I wasn't hooking them up this direction. So if they're both coming out slightly downhill, boom, I put this across, and now it's back on a flat, even plane again. And same thing with the reservoir outside. Is that it doesn't matter if this pipe is going up or down. The point is, I can turn the union and just twist this pipe up or down to go in a bulkhead flush on the reservoir. So that's the beauty of unions. And like I said, the guarantee of this reservoir, this trash can I buy or whatever it is, it's not going to be just vertical wall. It's probably going to be angled out a little bit like this. So if I turn this pipe up a little bit, I can go directly in instead of having any degree of angle off, which might make the bulkhead leak. So either way, so now I need to go find a trash can. Obviously, oh, another thing is these are going to be up off the ground. So the hole in the tent is about a few inches up. It doesn't really matter, whatever it is. These are going to be off the ground however high they need to be to get this pipe out the door, which is, it'll be maybe at most 4 inches off the ground, probably. But it doesn't really matter to me. Whatever it is, that's what it'll be. And it doesn't matter either as far as height of the reservoir. The reservoir is going to be a tall trash can. So getting these off the floor will actually make more water volume in the system, because the reservoir will hold more water volume to have the even water height, if you guys understand what I'm saying. But it's like one of those principles of fluid dynamics is, you know, if a bunch of reservoirs are connected, then the water level is going to maintain the same across all of them. You know, notwithstanding like a shitload of pressure going in one and, you know, having to catch up. But the point is, if three bodies of water are connected by a pipe, then the height of every one of them is going to be the same. So what I'm saying is, if these are up in the air higher, then regardless of where they are, the water level is going to be the same over here. So it'll make the water level in the reservoir higher and more water volume in the system. So that'll be fine. But now it's time for me to go look for a trash can to use at Home Depot. All right, after I cut the holes, I spray painted the lids black to keep the light out of the reservoir. Or out of the buckets. Water to keep the roots away from light, because that's bad for them. Okay, after I painted them black and they dried, I painted, black was to keep the light out. Now I painted them white to reflect the light, and that way it'll keep the reservoir cooler, won't absorb the heat. And my understanding so far about this stuff is that keeping cooler temperatures, anything you can do to keep a cooler temperature in the reservoir or the buckets is like money in the bank. You want as much of it as you can. So I went ahead and painted these tops. They'd be the ones maybe getting more direct light, but I think I'm gonna be too lazy to actually paint the buckets. But yeah, so that's why I painted those. Got one layer of black paint, one layer of white paint. On to the next step. Okay, I just got back from Home Depot, and here's the scene in the garage. But this is not Home Depot, I got this at Lowe's. They had these at Walmart too, but I didn't go to Walmart till afterwards and find them there for like a couple bucks cheaper. Either way, so I got this at Lowe's. This is a 13.3 gallon trash can. So I'm going to use that for the reservoir. It's going to be outside the tent. Like I said, the line here depicts the edge of the tent. The hole is for the tent is over there on that side, about where that is. So here's how it's going to be set up. This is going to be running out. It's going to be going into the side of the reservoir here. The considerations for this reservoir are as follows. One, I needed a reservoir that's a little bit narrow. I don't want to take up a whole bunch of room this way outside the tent, so I wanted it to be kind of flush with the tent when I get done here, and also not, you know, more than a foot wide. I need it to be tall. I'm putting my pump in here, and I want to do all the plumbing, have it inside the thing instead of going out the top. I need the plumbing going through the walls, you know, at the top here, you know, so a pipe's gonna be going out this way to go into the buckets, and I'll have a pipe coming out this way, out of right about there, to be going into the chiller and back. Actually, these will be hoses, not pipes, excuse me. You know what? It might be a pipe to come out and then just make it hoses outside. But point is, I'll be coming out the side of the bucket, or the side of the reservoir here to go to the chiller, and the side of the other side to go into the buckets. But I wanted to do all that. I don't want it going out the top. The reason I don't want it going out the top is because I want to be able to access this reservoir with just this lid and bank, you know, do whatever I need to do without having to do something weird with the pipes coming out of the lid and whatever. So it needed to be tall enough to get all that done underneath the top rim with the plumbing, so I can just reach in the top and not worry about it. Also, it needed to be big enough so I could fit the pump I'm using in here, which is the same size. This is the same frame of a pump that I'm using on the other systems I'm going to be using. So I'm building 3 different systems here that I'm going to be using. This one's pretty short term, probably limited use, but all 3 systems are going to be using a pump with this same footprint. This is the same size pump. The other 2 pumps are much stronger, but this is the same size and height. So the standpipe I built for my other system, or the pipe coming up out of here into the manifold for the other system, is 14.5 inches tall. So this is going to be hopefully the right height where I can keep all that inside here with a 14.5 inch pipe. So yeah, you know what, it's going to be tight actually. So we'll see. Like I said, 14.5 inch pipe ends up down there, but it'll be tight. See if I can fit this in there and have something I can use with my other systems. But worst comes to worst, I'll just have to throw in an extra little extension, so this one would match up with the other systems. If I ever have a catastrophic pump failure or something like that on another system, I can change this out with it. So yeah, I'll probably just end up getting 2 unions and making the pipe somewhere down here where I do a manifold for this. And then if I have to put it on another system, I'll just get a little extension union to match up with those heights. But yeah, so pump fits in here. The water's gonna be coming in from the buckets over here. I'm gonna have the bulkhead facing outwards. I found that they leak less when they're put in the systems the way they're supposed to be, just like these. See, the bulkheads are coming out, so they leak a lot less like this, in my experience. So, like I said, bulkhead will be coming here. This pump's gonna be coming up. One piece gonna go out here to the buckets. The other one's gonna go this way to the chiller and come back in here from the chiller. I haven't decided whether or not I'm going to do a 3rd line this way for water changes, but I might do that. So it might be like a 3-way deal here for the, you know, different ways to go with this. But I haven't decided on the water changes. It's going to be all 3/4 inch pipe coming up, 3/4 inch pipe and tubing going to the chiller, coming back, and maybe a 1/2 inch reducer going out to the water change, and maybe 1/2 inch for the waterfall side as well. But I haven't really decided on the pipe size. I know coming out here it's gonna be 3/4 inches. Either way, so let me go ahead and get done building this. I need to go measure heights now. I need to go measure the height of the tent hole, and then cut the bulkhead here and hook everything up the way it needs to be. And then I can get on with the rest of this. But yeah, that's where I'm at so far. I'll back in 2 seconds. Okay, here's another consideration I forgot to mention when I did the other bulkheads. But on these bulkheads, this is a 2-inch bulkhead. These things are designed, I guess, to go on something a little thicker than this little thin plastic, but on these totes and trash cans, whatever. But I'm not sure if this is a design thing they had on purpose or if it's just a flaw. But here at the bottom of the threads, there's a little chunk of plastic in there. So you can screw up, and this last couple of threads, there's a chunk of plastic in there, which doesn't let you tighten the bulkhead down past that, which this is thin, so I need to tighten the bulkhead down past that. So what I've been doing on these bulkheads, and this little chunk here, I have to file it down. I have to file that little chunk out of the groove so I can tighten it down as tight as I need to get it. But that's another consideration I hadn't mentioned before on the any of these builds. But that is a consideration you need, especially with these big bulkheads. Are designed for, like I said, thicker glass or whatever, something thicker. But if I'm going to put them on something thin like this bucket or these, these totes or this bucket or this trash can, I need to file that down so I can tighten it down all the way. So I'll do that before I put it in. But that's something I forgot to mention, and it's something you might want to look at on your bulkheads if it's used for aquarium bulkheads or something like that. Every bulkhead I've used has had that little chunk sitting there that needed to be filed out. Another thing I never mentioned was deburring your holes after you drill them. This is something that has to be done so the bulkhead doesn't leak also. If there's anything in there, a little burr, some chunky piece of plastic or whatever between the bulkhead and the seal, it's going to leak. So you have to make sure you do deburring properly and get it nice and clean. And I could show you doing it, but you're pretty much going to have to find your own, you have to learn how to do it just by doing it, because it's before you know how to do it well, it's a chunky process. Once you get it down and figure out the angle to hold your little deburring tool at and stuff, then it's pretty easy and quick. But the first couple times you'll be going, trying to cut too far into it and not enough, and it's just going to be chunky. But yeah, once you get it down though, it's a quick process, but it needs to be done every time you do a bulkhead in plastic or some material like this. Next step. All right, in every bulkhead, I take Dynaflex here, squirt it on my finger a bunch of times, and then I just go around the thread and kind of smash it in here along the threads and the gasket here, all the way around, and make sure it's sealed. So there's Dynaflex all the way around this thing before I tighten it up. So once I tighten it up, this is going to smash out every direction, inside and outside, between the gasket, this piece, and the nut here. There'll be Dynaflex smashing out every direction, and that's how you get a good seal on these things. every time and not having too many problems with it. So now I just tighten it up as tight as I can, hand tight, and it'll smash out. And once I get done smashing it out, I'll just take whatever smashes out and wipe it up with this with a paper towel around the edges. So that's the key to getting a good seal on these, you know, without just trying to wing it with the gasket and everything else. I did it a few times with just a gasket, and sometimes it's like 50-50 for working. So with the Dynaflex so far, I've been like 100% on no leaks with using this stuff to seal it up. So let me do that before it dries. Or I don't know, it'll probably take a while before it dries, but let me do it. All right, probably would have been better to do this on the black bucket so you can see the white Dynaflex smashed out here all the way around, but it's smashed out here on this side. There's a little bit smashed on this side, but not as much. But it is in there, so it was along the threads, at least that deep into there. So the seal should be good all the way around. Now I just have to go, oops, let me switch hands here. Now I just go around the edges and kind of wipe off the excess. It's not a big deal with this, you know, a lot or a little, it doesn't matter. It's in there. So wipe off the excess all the way around. And this stuff takes a while to dry, but I got time. So that's done. I can wipe around here, but it's not really not as much out here, so it's not a big deal. There's a little bit right there. Okay, so that's that. That bulk is installed. Now I just have to hook it up over here, slide that pipe in there. Actually, I need to cut this pipe down. It's a little long right now. I need to cut it so that this is not too far outside the tent here. I'll probably get, well, you know what? Maybe I need a little distance to work with my return lines. So, yeah, I'll give it a couple inches outside the tent. But either way, so let's do that. Okay, the drainage manifold is complete. And now I need to start digging with the return of the pump return manifold, what do you want to call it. So I need to start dealing with the pump and see how I can do this. But yeah, I'll probably just pick back up as soon as I'm done putting it all together. And I already showed pretty much all the considerations I could think of for bulkheads and fittings and unions and whatever. So let's get on with the return stuff, or pump manifold. Okay, here we are. The pump manifold, return manifold, whatever you want to call it, that is complete now. I just got done doing this. This is 3/4 coming out here because it's the biggest, as far as the smallest fitting I had for this pump was a 3/4 inch. So I reduced it there, and everything else is going to be 1/2 inch piping because it's just cheaper. These ball valves are like cheaper, and the unions are cheaper. The pipe, everything is cheaper at 1/2 inch. The bulkheads. Anyway, so here's what I did. This one is going to be going out to the buckets, out that way, down, out to the buckets through the hole in the side there. This one is going to be going over to the chiller over here. I put this bulkhead the right way, so I basically had a good amount of space in here to cut this off, do whatever I want with it. So I haven't decided yet how I'm going to hook up the hose to the chiller. I'm thinking I might just try really ghetto and put a little piece of 1/2 inch PVC right here, and just put the hose over the top of it. The hose is a 3/4 inch inner diameter hose, so it'll actually squeeze over the top of a good Sparky, geez, buddy. It'll actually fill over the top of a 1/2 inch PVC pipe. So I'm going to see if I can do that. Just put it over the top of the 1/2 inch PVC pipe and hose clamp it down, and then put it on the chiller over there, and then a hose coming back in. I'm probably not even sure if I'm going to go back to a pipe on the way back in. I might just use the hose and just let it spray down the bucket hose going through a hole in the wall here. So I did the bulkheads here, like I said. It doesn't really matter if they leak or not. I didn't bother putting on Dynaflex or anything, and doesn't really matter which direction I have them, because these are going to be up out of the water. The water's going to be down about here-ish, I don't know. Somewhere right around here. Somehow that looks high. Well, maybe it'll be a little higher. Maybe it'll be... Either way, it's going to be above that pipe, somewhere right in this range, but it's not going to come up above these bulkheads. So, this bulkhead, I put it in backwards the way I don't like to do it for leaks, because, like I said, it doesn't matter. It's not going to be underneath the water. I need to save as much space as I can, because I'm going to go 90-degree elbow down. I didn't want this thing sticking out, so I lost an inch that way anyway and have it way over here. So I'm going to be straight off of here. I'm going to be going straight 90-degree down, putting a union here somewhere in the middle, and then boom, 90 degrees out, and then following this pipe out to the middle here, and then shooting out and splitting into the 2 buckets for my waterfall deal there. Let's see, what else we got here? So that's that so far. And as far as a water, basically a water change option on here, I didn't bother putting in an extra spout for a water change. What I plan on doing is, it's a little bit ghetto. This isn't the most elegant design ever, but if I want to do a water change, I already have I would just basically pop both these off, pop off this one, and pop off this one, and then close one of these valves, and then hook the open valve up to, I've got a pipe over here, sorry, I've got a little drain fitting here I already used for another system I have, and this is a 1/2 inch ball valve union here. So I just hooked it up to there, and then turn on the pump and run this hose wherever I need to get it out of there. So that's the quick and cheap and slightly ghetto way of running the water changes and dumping the water out. So either way, that's what I got so far. Tonight, I don't think I'm going to dick around with the chiller stuff, but I am going to go ahead and run the lines out the rest of the way and put in the, actually, it's late as shit, and I've been already drilled a couple bulkheads here. It's like, what time is it? It's, what time is it? It doesn't show me on my phone right now. It's after 2 o'clock, so it's late as shit, and I've already drilled a couple holes here for these bulkheads, so I probably won't be drilling more bulkheads. I'm just going to run the lines down, run this line down, union, corner, down this way. I'm going to put another union right here before I turn it that way. That way, like I showed you before on this union. So if there's a union here, then I can swivel this pipe up and down however much I want it. So I'm going to put a union here, and then I'm going to just run a pipe out this way, and then just angle it up to wherever I put the holes in this, in the buckets over here for their waterfall, bulkheads over here. So yeah, union here, union here, and that should be it. Or yeah, that'll work good for it. Actually, did I say, yeah, somewhere in the middle here. Actually, that's where the union is going to be. Somewhere in the middle of this pipe going down, and then the union here. So 2 more unions, and the rest just pipes, and then splitting off up there and going to the different buckets. So let me go ahead and do that. Let me go ahead and hook these back up to where they were. It's hard to do with one hand, but it can be. Actually, let me go. It's not easy to do with one hand. There's one. Oh, go back to the right spot. And there's the other. Okay, so that's how quick and easy it is to hook that up with one hand, I guess. I actually used my hand. My phone was in, so you didn't get to see. But yeah, so that's easily disconnected and hooked back up. And okay, let me finish the rest of this crap, and hopefully this stuff won't leak. This was kind of, like I said, when I'm doing this, this wasn't a whole lot of measuring, and there's not going to be a whole lot of measuring down here either. It's more like just kind of eyeballing shit and lining it up and jamming it in. Because you measure all you want, but you're pretty much just going to have to make it fit. But especially this way, I really don't need to measure. I just need to get pieces, connect a piece, connect another piece, connect another piece that turns this way, connect a piece that turns this way, put it in the union, connect a piece that turns this way, and it's no real measuring. It's just cutting the piece I need for the spot I'm at and going along and piece by piece by piece by piece by piece and getting it in. So let me finish that up. Okay, everything's done. Except for, obviously I'm going to drill holes for air lines for the air stones. But, so, here we go. Manifold's done here. Everything's plugged in. Here's the line running out. There's that union I said was going to be there. Bink, bink, following that line out here. There's the union I said was going to be there. There's the corner. There's the way it goes in there. Everything turned out just about perfect, except for up here you can see these 2 buckets are kind of leaning together, which means that I made this thing like a smidge too short. This pipe right here is a smidge too short, so you can see the angle in on these buckets here. at the end. But whatever, close enough. I'm not terribly worried about it. I guess I could have made it longer, would have been better than short in hindsight, but I'm okay with that. So either way, that's done. Now it's time to go. Actually, I'm going to go to Home Depot and buy some wood, but to finish this deck. But I need to finish that base, and then I can water test this, or leak test this sucker. So I'm gonna let this dry for a little bit longer, and leak test it, and then I'm gonna kind of rig up a hose here for this line to the chiller. So that'll be all I got to do left. I'm gonna come back when I got the base built and painted, and I'm doing the leak test, and then we'll just put everything together and be done. Okay, here's where I'm at on this. This is the line that's gonna go on the chiller. It's a 3/4 inner diameter vinyl hose, and it fits on there really good. Let me just put a hose clamp over that. But here's what I did. Instead of going and trying to figure out what fittings I have to get for going from 1/2-inch PVC to this, I just jammed the 1/2-inch PVC into this vinyl tube, which actually is a pretty good fit. So I jammed it in there with some Dynaflex, and I actually have a good feeling about that being sealed up. I went ahead and sanded the PVC like normal, like I was gonna, do it with other PVC. But yeah, so I just sanded the PVC down, put some Dynaflex around the, lubed up the end of it with the Dynaflex and jammed it in. So we'll see if this this little job works. This is gonna go in here, and the other end is gonna go in there. And then coming back out, it's gonna be the same thing out to there. So looks good. We'll see during the leak test how well it worked. Okay, here we are. Everything's finally hooked up here. I left these wires, or sorry, these hoses really long. I'm gonna obviously chop them off later when I get these in position where they need to be, but I'm gonna lift them long for now because I'm not sure how long I'll need them, but I'm guessing this thing's gonna be a lot more close, like somewhere right over here. But either way, so everything's hooked up here. I haven't turned on a pump yet, I haven't put any water in yet. Here's where I'm at. I've got all this plumbing was done. I just got done building this little table to set them on. Before, the table was just sitting there on top of some boards. It was pretty unsafe before when I was building all this, but now it's built. The base is built, and I spray painted it, so I had to wait for that. But now everything's done. The spray paint's mostly dry, and it's time. I'm going to start with leak test 1A. We'll be filling up the buckets here. And it's probably going to take about somewhere between 10 and 15 gallons to fill up these buckets where they run in here, and I get the amount of water I want underneath the net pots. So it'll be somewhere around 12-ish to 14 gallons, I think. I'm guessing. We'll see. I'm actually going to measure the water, so I'm going to fill this up first for the first leak test, and it's going to test these bulkheads. One of the scariest parts of the whole leak test is the bulkheads here, the bottom ones, because that's going to be a pain to fix. They're leakers. But so it's going to test those bulkheads. It's going to test all the fittings that'll be below the bulkhead. So it'll be testing basically everything to this union. Down there to this union, it'll be testing. So I'm about to pour the water in there. I'll come back as soon as I get these things filled up. Let me get these lids off. Okay, pretty happy to report that leak test 1A is no setbacks anywhere. That's great news. I don't see any leaks. I don't feel any leaks anywhere. So, leak test 1A. Oops. Before I speak too fast here. Yeah, leak test 1A is pretty much a success here. So, and I put in exactly 15.5 gallons, which gets me right underneath the net pot here. So this thing apparently 15.5 gallons is the right amount. That's what I was thinking. I was thinking actually slightly less, but 15.5 will work for me. Okay, and I get this hooked up. About to turn on the pump for the pressure test, which will be leak test 1B. And leak test 1B on my other system was where I had problems. I didn't tighten everything up. So I think I tightened everything up pretty good here. Not that these are a big deal, but this is what I'm worried about the most over here. Oops. Even though these are easy to fix, that's what I should be worried about the most, is the connections over there, but I guess I can fix those without too much hassle. So we'll see what happens here. Let's go ahead and start this up, get the water running, see what it looks like. And like I said, hopefully this doesn't leak. These are the only thing here with no sealant on it. It's just the 3/4 inch inner diameter tubing over the fittings here for the chiller. So this is the highest probability of leaking. This is the part that's not actually probably cured yet, where I put the Dynaflex on these pipes here. So this is the second highest. Well, let's just say anywhere on this vinyl hose. That's the part I need to keep my eyes on. But I'm going to look at everything and go ahead and start this pump going, and let's see what happens here. Wait, oops. Okay, so plug in the pump. Keep it up off the ground. Cords. All right. Any leaks? Pump is on. Pump is on. It's going good in the bucket over there. Boom, it's going good to the chiller. Okay, sorry, I'm not sure if you guys can see it. I'm not paying attention. Here we go. So, yeah. It's going good through the chiller and back. I'm not seeing any drips. There's a lot of flow through the chiller. There's a lot of flow in the buckets. Let me go look at the other bucket over here. Make sure it's getting the same flow it should be. I made an even distance between the two of them. So yeah, there we go. I'm probably going to put an elbow on this and blast it straight down in the water, just for more water agitation. And there's what it looks like from the top. Apparently water agitation is the key for gas transfer. Water surface agitation is big on gas transfer for water or liquids. So the harder you splash the water, the more oxygen gets put into it. So there we go. Everything's working here. And it's time for me to finish this video, but I need to make sure nothing's leaking. It's hard to tell now that the water's splashing around out of here. But yeah, so far, so... Uh-oh, there's a... That's probably splashed out somewhere. Let's see. Yeah, actually, I already checked those. These are good. Yeah, I think that's going to do it. Looks like everything's working pretty good here. I'd probably put an elbow on that, too, just to blast it down the water instead of this. I got a lot of little pieces of the black plastic bucket over there I forgot to clean out before I did this. So I'm going to have to scoop all those out, but from deburring the bulkheads and whatever else, there's a lot of black stuff in there. So there we go. That is all done. I'm not seeing, or there's a piece of water, but it'll just splash hopefully. I'm not feeling any leaks or seeing any leaks, so I think everything here is going to be okay. All right, sounds good. And that is at 55% on the pump. But I don't see myself ever using more speed than that. So anyway, looking good. Happy with the results. I'll come back when I've got this thing set up in its final location, inside and outside the tent I'm going to use it in, and with nutrient and water. Actually, I still need to drill holes and put the air stones in. Other than that, everything is looking good here. So let's get that done. All right, I didn't plan on making any more videos in the garage, but I decided to check this chiller out since I bought this used. Obviously, I bought it from a pretty good source. I got a good deal on it. But it's a 3rd horsepower chiller, and it's a beast. It's made for like 500-gallon aquariums. It's JBJ chiller. But I just figured I'd come back. It's been under 10 minutes, and this actually it overshot. It's been under 10 minutes, and this thing took the temperature from 72.7 to 67.8, and it just shut off because it's overshot. But yeah, under 10 minutes, it dropped it almost exactly, actually almost 5 degrees. So that's cranking. This thing's a beast. JBJ, it's the way to go. But yeah, this is definitely for my flower tent later. Right now I'm just using it just because I don't want to, this is going to be taken apart sooner or later, but this thing's awesome. Just thought I'd throw that in there. Alright, this thing is still running. It's been running for a while. I took the dog for a walk. But now it's time to, I just closed off the valve to the chiller, so it's not blasting back in here, you can see that. But it's time to go ahead and drain this and take it inside and put it where it's supposed to be and put the plants on it. So this is what I was talking about with the drainage piece I built. So I'm going to have to turn the pump off so it's not blasting, but turn the pump off, hook that up to that line, we'll take these both off, hook it up to the line, and then turn the pump back on. It'll be blasting out hopefully. So let me go ahead and do that now. Let me actually not turn the pump off. I'm going to pause it. There we go. So that's a feed mode. This is obviously an aquarium pump. But so it's on feed mode now. So I'll just take this off. It should run back in here from the chiller. I'm going to take this off actually. There's some water coming back in from the chiller. I think I have like 10 minutes-ish to dick around with this while the pump is on feed mode. But it's not going to take that long to get this ready. There we go. So I already ran this line outside and stuck it under my car tire, so I won't go anywhere when I turn it on. But there we go. That's, yeah, it might be a little bendy here. Okay, there we go. That'll work. That should get it down to almost. Probably better if I turn this a little bit. Let's turn it up. Up is better. There we go. All right. There we go. That should do fine as far as draining this sucker all the way. Let me go ahead and turn it back on now. Alright, pump it back on. There goes the water that way. Let's go take a look. Where's the water going? So I'm running it out to my under my tire on my car so it didn't go flopping around the hose, but there you go, you get the idea. That's going to drain this thing out. There we go. So that's going to drain out the reservoir there and the buckets, and then I can go take this inside and put them where they're going to be and throw my plants in them. But yeah, that was a... I'm still worried about when a disaster is going to strike, because so far this was a pretty smooth process. I guess I've been practicing putting together a bunch of things lately, so maybe I'm getting used to kind of avoiding things before they happen. But this one went pretty good. I'm happy with it. I need to clean out the reservoir. It's like all those pieces of plastic in there. But yeah, this thing went pretty good. I'm happy with the way it turned out. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up here, and then I'll come back when it's in the tent. Alright, here we are installed in the tent. Got the nutrient water in there. I got my... I just keep banging my head on these freaking lights, man. I got my air stones in there. I got 3 air stones in each side, which is making lots of bubbles, plus this thing splashing all over the place, so plenty of air. Everything's hooked up, nothing's leaking. Here's all the air lines coming down this side. I'm probably going to pull them out a little farther to the side so they're out of the way. So my plants are going to love this thing. So either way, there it is going. Here's the outside part. Here's the nutrient water I just mixed up and poured in there. Here's this thing. Looks good. Definitely nutrient water. And this thing's hooked up. I need to go ahead and plug that in. But either way, so that's everything working now. I got the bubbler. Got the three air stones per pot, which is probably a little bit overkill, but you know, it is what it is. Just like this chiller is overkill. But hopefully now my plants will have a ideal environment. So either way, if you watch this far, I appreciate you watching this far. And if you liked the video, hit like. If you want to see more like this, which I'm going to do one more build, it's going to be a big one. Hit subscribe. I'm going to do other things though, other plant and whatever videos. So yeah, if you want to see more stuff like this, step-by-step type stuff, hit subscribe. And if you don't want to miss anything, hit the notifications bell. I appreciate it. Thanks again. Peace.